Judge ordered a disabled SEAL to remove her silver star. Then her next move ended his career. On a cold morning inside a quiet military courtroom, no one expected history to be challenged. Not by words, not by shouting, but by silence. This is United War, and this is the story of the day a judge ordered a disabled Navy SEAL to remove her silver star, and how her next move changed everything. She entered the courtroom slowly. Her steps were measured, careful. One leg carried more weight than the other. The injury was obvious, not hidden, not exaggerated. It was the kind of injury that comes only from battle, not training. Her uniform was perfect. Her posture was rigid, and pinned to her chest was a silver star, earned in combat, under fire. Most people in the room didn't know her name. They didn't know the mission. They didn't know what she had done to earn that medal. But the judge noticed it immediately. His eyes narrowed, not with curiosity, but with irritation. The proceeding had nothing to do with heroism. It was administrative, technical, cold. Yet, as the disabled SEAL took her seat, the judge leaned forward and interrupted the process. He questioned her appearance. He questioned her authority to wear the medal. And then, in a moment that stunned the room, he issued an order no one expected. He told her to remove the silver star. Gasps followed. Veterans stiffened in their seats. Officers exchanged looks, because that medal was not decoration, it was earned in blood. The SEAL did not argue. She did not speak out of turn. She did not raise her voice. Instead, she stood, slowly, pain clearly visible, but discipline stronger than discomfort. She reached up, not to the medal, but to something else. And in that moment, the power in the room began to shift. Because what she was about to do was not defiance, it was procedure, and it would expose everything. The judge thought he was asserting control. He had no idea he was about to lose it. The courtroom fell into complete silence as she remained standing. Every movement she made was deliberate, controlled, trained, the kind of discipline forged through years of combat, pain, and loss. The judge expected compliance. He expected the medal to come off through a folded document. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't rushed, but the moment the paper appeared, several senior officers in the room instantly recognized it. Her official combat citation. Still silent, she placed the document on the table in front of her, then pushed it forward so the bailiff could retrieve it. The judge hesitated. This was no longer routine. This was no longer simple authority. Because military citations do not lie. They are written records of chaos, courage, and command decisions made under fire. The judge unfolded the document and began to read. His expression changed. The room learned what the judge did not know. The mission had gone wrong. Extraction failed. Her unit was pinned down. 2 teammates were wounded. 1 was trapped in open ground. Despite already being injured, she advanced alone, through gunfire, dragging 1 teammate to cover, then returning for the second. The explosion that shattered her leg came after the rescue, not before. The citation was clear. The Silver Star was not symbolic. It was mandatory recognition. The judge looked up. His confidence had cracked. He questioned procedure. He questioned jurisdiction. He attempted to regain control by asserting courtroom authority over military protocol. But that was his mistake. Because military honors fall outside civilian opinion. They are governed by federal law, command verification, and the chain of command. And the judge had just issued an unlawful order. Still, the SEAL did not speak. Instead, she turned slightly and nodded once toward the back of the courtroom. That's when a senior naval officer stood. Full dress uniform, rows of ribbons, authority that did not need to be announced. And suddenly, the judge realized something too late. This was never a confrontation she could lose. This was one she had already won. The naval officer's footsteps echoed as he moved forward. Each step carried weight, not just rank, but responsibility. He didn't rush. He didn't raise his voice. When he stopped beside the disabled seal, he didn't look at her first. He looked at the judge. And in that pause, the entire balance of power shifted. The officer identified himself formally, citing his command and authority. Then, calmly, he explained what the courtroom had just witnessed. The Silver Star was not a decoration worn at personal discretion. It was a federally authorized combat award, issued after review, verification, and approval at the highest levels. Ordering its removal without cause was not a correction, it was a violation. The judge attempted to interrupt. The officer did not stop speaking. He explained that the seal's disability was a direct result of the action described in the citation, that her presence in that courtroom was already an accommodation, and that questioning her right to wear the medal was not only improper, it was disrespectful to the chain of command and to the law. Murmurs spread through the room. Veterans shifted in their seats. Some lowered their heads, not in shame, but in recognition, because they understood what was happening. The judge had crossed a line that could not be erased with a gavel. The officer then did something unexpected. He requested the court record reflect the incident verbatim, every word, every order, every response. That single request changed everything, because once it was entered into record, the moment became permanent, reviewable, challengeable, and far beyond the control of one courtroom. The judge's tone softened. Too late. The officer concluded by stating that the seal would remain wearing her silver star, not as defiance, not as protest, but as lawful recognition of valor. Only then did he turn to her. She met his eyes briefly. A nod, nothing more. She sat down. The medal never moved. But the consequences were already in motion, because authority, once misused, leaves evidence behind, and evidence has a way of traveling upward.
The hearing ended without another word about the medal, but the silence that followed was heavier than any argument. Because everyone in that courtroom understood the truth. This was no longer about procedure. It was about accountability. Within days, the transcript of the hearing was reviewed, not by commentators, not by the public, but by oversight authorities. The judge's order had been entered into the official record exactly as spoken, and when legal experts examined it, the conclusion was unavoidable. The order to remove a federally awarded combat medal, especially from a disabled service member, had no legal standing. It was an abuse of authority. A formal complaint followed, then another. Veterans' legal organizations took notice. Military advocacy groups requested review. And quietly, without press conferences or speeches, an investigation was opened. The SEAL never gave interviews. She returned to her life, rehabilitation, service in a different capacity, mentoring others who carried wounds no one could see. The Silver Star remained on her uniform, exactly where it belonged. The judge, however, did not return to business as usual. First came the reprimand, then the ethics review, then the decision that ended his career on the bench. No dramatic headlines, no public apology, just removal. Because authority is not destroyed by outrage, it is undone by record, law, and truth. The disabled SEAL never raised her voice, never disrespected the court, never broke protocol. She simply stood her ground. And in doing so, she reminded everyone of something easy to forget. Honor does not ask permission. Valor does not explain itself. And real power doesn't need to shout. This is united war, and this was the day discipline defeated arrogance.